That leaves Tobias, Axe, and Jake to go to Jake's place, but they find his house empty. Jake says his parents and Tom went shopping that morning and must not be back yet, but Tobias figures that if the Yeerks are on a manhunt, Tom would be busy helping with that. Jake tries to keep up a strong front, but he realizes that he fucked up. And this is confirmed when his parents and Tom pull onto their street, followed by 2 SUVs, and everyone is armed with Dracon beams. Jake's parents have been taken. Everything Jake had been fighting for is gone. Jake can only do one thing. He morphs Falcon in front of his new infested parents, a way to say, "Mom, Dad, I have power, and because of that, there's still hope for all of us." And with that, the 3 Animorphs escape. What's wrong with me? Why didn't I get them out last night? When I need to wait, plan, gather more information, what do? Charge in, go for the surprise, screw things up permanently. But when I need to charge in to save people I love most, I wait. I say, go home, get some rest, sleep on it. Great plan. I get sleep. My parents get Yeerks. This error in judgment marks a turning point for Jake, one that'll send him spiraling through the rest of the series. He's never quite the same after this. Tobias splits from the group and flies to Lauren's house. The Animorphs never committed to saving her too. They don't know if she's a controller or not, and she was never a part of Tobias' life, so she might be too much of a risk for too little of a reward. Nah, the Animorphs aren't heartless, so Marco and Axe show up soon after to join Tobias in watching Lauren and figuring out a plan. The Yeerks have got the area surrounded with surveillance, waiting for the now clearly not Andalite bandits to make their move. Eventually, Lauren leaves her home to go buy some things from the nearby 7-Eleven, so Tobias, Axe, and Marco go human and follow her inside. They need to get a hold of Lauren's dog so that Tobias can morph it, but to do that, they need to act like real assholes around her, make her assume these are just some young dog-napping punks. Which leads to the greatest Axe moment of all time. Axe the juvenile delinquent. A lone cashier manned the counter. Axe sidled up to him. "Do not worry," he said. "We are irresponsible teenage hoodlums, possibly gang members, but you're not in any danger." The guy gave Axe a blank stare. "His gang's from out of town," I explained. The 3 Animorphs harass Lauren, and it gets kinda nasty. Even if you know they're play acting, it doesn't feel natural to see these guys act this way. Except Axe. It feels totally natural for Axe. Axe nodded. "She does not understand how menacing we are." He tapped her on the shoulder. "You do not know me," he said, "but I am a juvenile delinquent. I do not trust authority figures. I probably will not graduate from high school, and statistics say my present rowdiness and vandalism will likely lead to more serious crimes. I am a dangerous fellow, and I am causing mayhem in this store." He reached behind her and pulled 3 jars of baby food from the top shelf, shoved them behind a box of macaroni, shuffled the cheese whiz in front of the marshmallow fluff, tossed a bag of ladies' shavers onto a bag of hamburger buns. "There. I have now shamelessly destroyed the symmetry of this shelf, undoing hours of labor by underpaid store employees. If you could see me, you would be frightened." Oh, bless. I want to see Axe's one-man play version of The Outsiders. Stay blue, ponyboy, stay blue. The evil Animorph Steel Champ. Tobias acquires him, morphs him, and returns to Lauren, who just stood there and took all that abuse. She's kind of a turn-the-other-cheek kind of woman, though I don't know why the clerk at least didn't call the cops. Tobias plays the role of seeing eye dog and walks Lauren back to her home, where he goes about trying to find evidence one way or another she's a controller. Nothing comes up. When Lauren goes to sleep that evening, Tobias morphs human and starts going through drawers, eventually finding an old insurance document. Enclosed, please find final payment for injuries suffered in an automobile accident on June 12th. We acknowledge that you have suffered brain damage and loss of vision. However, these conditions are permanent and irreversible. Further medical attention is not authorized. Your claims of total amnesia cannot be proven, and reconstructive surgery is not covered under your group policy. The enclosed sum terminates our liability on this incident. Yes, Lauren has amnesia brought about by a car accident. Now, there are 2 implications to this. As we all know, the Ellimist was responsible for reshaping Lauren's life after he tricked Elfangor into coming with him, which includes removing and rewriting certain memories. So, either this car accident was part of the Ellimist's plan, in which case, fuck you, Ellimist, or the Ellimist removed some of Lauren's memories, and this accident was completely unrelated to that and resulted in double amnesia. Either way, the universe really has it out for Lauren. Tobias decides to confront Lauren the next morning. Lauren has been dreading this confrontation for years now. She knew she had a son named Tobias, but with the 1-2 punch of blindness and amnesia, she didn't see herself fit to take care of him. And after years in the hospital, she was completely cut off from her extended family, so she couldn't find a way to visit him. It's heartbreaking stuff, but Tobias doesn't have time to linger on it. He warns her that she's in danger, but she takes some convincing, so he asks her about the flashes of memories she does have, which seems to include monstrous alien visions. "You described them as nightmares," I said. "But were there any other images? One that wasn't a nightmare? One that seemed kind, honorable maybe?" She nodded, slowly. "It's so vague. No form, nothing recognizable. I've never told anyone about this. It's just a feeling, almost. A flash." "A flash of blue," I said. That gets her. Tobias tells her to wait a few days, to not leave the house, and while Axe and Marco watch the place, Tobias flies to their new home in the Hork-Bajir Valley, where we get an update on how the other families are handling this. The Hork-Bajir seem to love Cassie's parents, and Rachel's mom has taken it upon herself to get the Hork-Bajir politically organized, including drafting a constitution for this community. "Look, trust me, you're on American soil. Of course you want the right to bear arms. How else are you going to protect your bark against, Mexicans, I guess?" "My mom," Rachel waved a hand toward the picnic table. "Thomas Jefferson in heels." "Oh God, stop looking at my nightmares." Jake is sulking, entering a whole new level of depression, and when Tobias suggests his plan to him, Jake flat out tells him to forget it, to leave Lauren. It's not worth it for a woman who doesn't even remember you. Tobias won't hear that, though, and Jake finally lets him, but won't get personally involved with it. So the plan kicks off. Lauren and the real Champ go to a nearby park, where Champ is switched out with Tobias and Dogmorph, and something large is put into Lauren's purse. They return to Lauren's house, and we find out what it is. The morphing cube. Tobias gives Lauren the power to morph, and lets her acquire him as a hawk. We could spend days debating the logistics of that, but what's important is the symbolism of it. Since learning his mother was alive and living nearby, Tobias has been debating if he really wants her in his life. This is a woman he feels abandoned by, and even after learning what happened, he still feels, at least a little bit, that she didn't make all the effort she could have made. On the flip side, Lauren has felt broken, that a piece of her has been missing, and while she's done the best she can, and tried to be the best person possible, and make no mistake, Lauren is a good person, she still has niggling doubts about herself. In essence, this gesture is Tobias not just saving Lauren, but forgiving her, and making him part of her life again. This act heals Lauren, literally, restoring her sight and giving her strength. This is one of those moments where questionable sci-fi science doesn't matter. Then Rachel and Elephant Morph breaks into the house, which is symbolic of Republican policy shafting the disabled. The Yeerks are making their move, so Rachel grabs the cube and Tobias and Lauren fly out of there. This time, however, the Yeerks have broken out the attack helicopters, one flown by that granny Yeerk the Animorphs met at the lab. I wonder if this is a Lisa Hark Raider trademark, one-off Yeerk villains of some authority that don't get a name, like the woman with the gun in number 44 The Unexpected. The chase leads to a shut-down strip mall with a dusty old toy store attached, with toys still stocked on the shelves. Oh, see if they have any of those old Inhumanoids. Those toys were amazing. There's a fight between the Animorphs and Yeerk goons inside the store. Marco gets in some Jackie Chan stunts with a scooter, and then the final boss, Granny in the helicopter in the parking lot. Lauren gets hurt, and Tobias has to walk her through demorphing. She's hesitant because she doesn't know all the rules yet, and thinks she'll go back to being blind. Eventually, Tobias tricks the helicopter into crashing, causing it to explode. This should have killed Granny Yerk, but we later learned she escaped. Getting away was pretty easy once the chopper exploded. The controllers deserted when they saw it going down. Psycho Granny bailed just before impact. I saw her crawling on her belly across the parking lot. It was a satisfying sight.
Look! I can see their parachutes! They're okay.
Everyone returns to camp. Lauren's sight has been restored, but her memories are still gone, either because that's something morphing can't fix, or the elements encrypted the files. Still, she's willing to make Tobias a part of her life now, and while she may not be able to be a traditional mother to him, she can still be a loving and supporting friend. The book ends with Tobias and Jake sitting with each other, their roles swapped. Tobias's plan worked. Jake's had failed. Tobias had found a family. Jake lost his. After 3 years of pain and suffering, Tobias finally had something to hold on to, while Jake slowly drifts away from the man he was just a few days ago. Post-book follow-up. There's an unofficial idea in fiction called the narrative collapse, not to be confused with the social idea of the same name proposed by Douglas Reskoff. A narrative collapse in this context is when there's a force in your story that doesn't just threaten the lives of your protagonists, doesn't just threaten to take over the world, but threatens the very narrative foundations of the story itself. I say the entire final arc threatens a narrative collapse, but this is the book where it really finally triggers. I won't say it collapses the narrative completely, the next book is kind of the final blow in that, but this is the most critical moment for when the narrative of Animorphs collapses. One of the core ideas of the series is secrets. The Yeerks are secrets, hiding within the minds of normal people. The Animorphs are secrets, morphing to hide their identities. The Chee are secrets. The Ellimist and Krayak have secret motives. The Free Hork-Bajir are secreted away. The Animorphs is a game in which everyone tries to keep themselves secret while revealing the secrets of others. A game which the Yeerks have just won. They know the Animorphs aren't Andalites. They know their identities. Over 50 books of going, I can't tell you my last name or where I live, and it was all for nothing. While the Animorphs will continue to fight to save their world, they can no longer do it in the way they have been for the last 50 plus books. No more opening book shenanigans, no more meetings at Cassie's barn, no more juggling school and family, no more cryptic phone calls, no more Chee covering for them at home, no more hiding from their parents. Their immediate goals have shifted. They no longer have to worry about protecting their families. They've either saved them or failed to. A lot of this book is filler, but not in a bad way. I mentioned the constant callbacks, but the whole first part, where the Animorphs break into the lab, that's mostly just a smokescreen. Something to trick you into thinking this is going to be another standard story, where the Animorphs sneak into a Yeerk base, fix the problem, there's a complication, they have a tussle with Visor 1, they escape, go to the mall for cheeseburgers. That's not what this is about, though. This book is about 4 scenes. 4 times in which the Animorphs confront their families and try to save them. This filler is there because there's not enough book with just these 4 scenes on their own. These 4 scenes have been a long time coming. I would argue that this is the most important book in the final arc, save for the finale itself. So what keeps it from being totally perfect? Well, for some reason, the Axe comedy hour is firing on all cylinders. On one hand, pretty much all the humor around Axe is top-notch. I especially loved Axe the Juvenile Delinquent. But it feels like a distraction from the seriousness of these scenes. And where's all the tension the rest of the Animorphs should be having around Axe after his actions in number 46, The Deception? I also feel there should have been more exploration on how the parents are handling all of this. All we get is some mild comedy around Rachel's mom trying to bring politics to the Hork-Bajir. More of that would have been welcome. We don't need all these callbacks. The 49th book in a series isn't going to be the jumping on point for new readers. Finally, while it's great to have Lauren again, they don't really do anything with her after this book. She gets a few more mentions, a couple of lines, but isn't much of an active participant in the story after this, and Kay Applegate seems to completely forget about her in the last couple of books. Obviously, this is more of a criticism of the series as a whole than this book specifically, but why bring this well-liked character back if you're not going to do anything with her? She doesn't need to be center stage or anything, but it seems like the book expends a lot of energy on her just for her to fade into the background right afterwards. Still, I feel these are minor issues. Tobias gets a great story for his final solo narrated book, and this new relationship between him and his long-lost mother is really moving. It's a contender for the best book in the final arc. I give number 49, The Diversion, a 9 out of 10.